What's up everybody, this is DJ Cade back once again, this time with 3 new tournament videos. Don't worry, not all in the same video. I'm going to be breaking these up into parts. The first of which is going to be my weighted Kingdom Cup Mirror Cup repeat for this month in my local area. And guys, I know a lot of you are saying that this cup is kind of bunk, it's kind of tilty, it's not really a good cup, there's a lot of the same Pokemon over and over, but I was just incredibly excited for this one. I mean, for me, it was the first cup I ever competed in, and I have so many good Pokemon for this cup. I was just ridiculously over-prepared. I made over 1 million Stardust during the Stardust event, and I was able to invest that and get second moves on everything in my lineup. We've got pretty standard movesets on just about everything, so I'm not going to go too deep into the detail on it. But I've got the Ice Shard and Dragon Pulse on the Lapras. I've got Blast Burn Blaze Kick on the Blaziken. And everything else is pretty much a standard moveset, so I don't think I really need to go over that in too much detail. Especially because I'm going to try to be cutting down on the time it takes for me to do these videos. I'm going to be playing these matches at a faster speed, I'm going to be trying to commentate on them at a faster speed, and I'm only going to be doing 2 matches per video. So I'm going to be breaking these next few tournaments I have for you guys into a few parts, so it's not so overwhelming to consume all at once. So with that being said, let's get into our first match. So for my first match, I'm up against Winged Red, who is actually somebody who beat me in the last Kingdom Cup that I had. I think it might have been a 2-1 for him, but he put up an extremely good fight against me. And one of the things that I noticed when I battled him last time was that I just didn't have much for tanky Pokemon on my team. I had a lot of squishy Pokemon, which is one of the reasons I brought so many tanks on my team. But for this first match, I decided to go in with the Steelix lead, and then Lapras and Lucario, because I'm seeing that Steelix is not going to have too much of a problem with nearly anything on his team except maybe that Charizard. So why don't we just get into the first match and see how this goes. Alright, the battle begins. I send out Steelix and he sends in Flygon, which could be a bad matchup for me if he has like the Mud Slap, but I don't think he does because he's not hitting me for very effective damage. I figured he wouldn't have the Earthquake yet, so I decide not to shield that Dragon Claw, just go straight for the Crunch to try and get a shield. I managed to get one. So I'm just going to stay in this match because, and I'm not going to shield a lot of these, like, unless I think he's overcharging by a lot. Like, if I think he's saving way too much energy, then I'm going to do a shield, but I still don't think he has an Earthquake here either, so I just decided to tank that, and he wasn't able to call me on any of my shields. That's where, like, I just know Earthquake is a much longer move. I'm not really a pro at counting, and I take him down, and I survive long enough to get a Crunch on this next Altaria that comes in from building up some of that energy, and I chunk him down about 1/4 of his health. And this Ice Shard Lapras, this thing, last tournament, this guy was my hero. Like, I know Water Gun Lapras is definitely good, but Altaria just absolutely doesn't want to see an Ice Shard Lapras. And as you can see, I don't even spend the charge move here. I just use that as a farming opportunity pretty much because there was no charge move needed in that situation. And I hit a couple of these Surfs right away before his Melmetal can even do anything, and even with the Thunder Shocks, I almost managed to tank him out, just with that banked energy, just by deciding not to throw those charge moves out there, and then Lucario can come in, and that's game 1. So for this match, for some reason, I decided to go with a completely different team comp because I noticed that his Flygon did not have the Mud Slap. He had the Dragon-type moves. I wasn't even sure if he had the Earthquake as his other charge move. So I decided it would be pretty safe to bring in that Bastiodon, and then if he was going to bring in his Lucario or his Altaria, I would be able to take that out with my Altaria, and then if I brought in the Blaziken, I could clean up the Melmetal, and I could clean up his Bastiodon if he brought it. So let's see how this one does. Alright, so it's a Bastiodon mirror match, and I've got the number 2 ranked Bastiodon, keep in mind. Like, I was really lucky in the trade, and so I'm just going to stick this one out because I've got the best moveset for the situation. and I figured with the PvP IVs, I could probably win this matchup and keep sort of my switch priority. So I'm just going to stay in, farm this up. It is a slow matchup. I mean, I've got this on 1.7 times normal speed. I could speed it up in the future, but I decide I'm just going to keep tanking these flamethrowers. I'm not going to spare any shields. As long as he's taking the flamethrowers, I'm not going to be spending any shields of my own. And as you can see, I've got him in the red before he got me into the red. So that right there tells you just how strong PvP IVs can be, and we're just going to mirror each other out, and I'm going to take him out with a little bit of health left, which is really cool. And he sends in the Altaria, and I managed to get like 1/8 of his health maybe with just one of those smackdowns. And I don't want to be sending in Blaziken just yet, so I send in my own Altaria for the mirror match. This one isn't terribly good PvP IVs, but it's still going to chunk down a lot with that Dragon Breath. I just figured this would be the best for the situation. Now the shields are getting burned up, but we're still in a good situation. I'm going to burn the last one because I figure whatever's left, Blaziken can probably take it out. Thankfully it's a Flygon, but it does have that Dragon-type fast move. I'm pretty sure of it. And we do have a little bit of lag. He sends in Dragon Claw, and that's pretty much going to be it. Now it's down to the Blaziken, and this is... He doesn't have the Mud Slap, so he's not going to be able to do super effective damage. That's one of the reasons I was confident bringing him in, and I decide to save up a little bit for the Blast Burn over the Blaze Kick, knowing he has no shields, and that's going to take him right out. So GG's go to Winged Red that time. I was just way too prepared, and I'm glad you're enjoying the pillow from the last tournament, but yeah, I took that one. Sorry, man. Alright, so for my next match, I'm up against Claire716, and I'm noticing her team has a lot of fighting type weakness. I'm noticing that a lot of that can be picked on with things like Lucario and Blaziken. Maybe not so much Flygon in a sense, but I've decided to bring this lineup of Blaziken, Lucario, 2 fighters, and the Bastiodon. We'll see how this lineup does. Alright, so we get the Bronzong coming in, and that's actually pretty good for us because we do have the Flamethrower, but she knows that. She's going to switch out right away, so we've got Switch Lock priority right now, or we have her Switch Locked rather. We're just going to send in the Lucario right away and beat up on this Lapras before it can really do much. Lucario's just going to be so much faster, and we're going to have to commit some shields, but that's okay. We pull off a couple of power-up punches, and we will be set for this match. So that was actually a really good switch-in on our part. We have we're going to try the Shadow Ball here, and she calls it. So she calls that Shadow Ball. Thankfully, we've got her Lucario fairly low on health. And this is one of the reasons this double fighter strategy works so well. Now she's got the Bronzong, and normally this is a really, really bad matchup, but I had a little bit of built-up energy. She has no shields, and I do manage to get a lot of damage on the Bronzong before it goes down, but Bastiodon is just going to be so tanky, and it's not going to be too much longer. We're going to win that match. So I thought about what she brought in last time, and she didn't bring in the Flygon, but she did bring in the Lucario. So I was wondering if she was going to try a similar strategy, if she was trying to pick apart a specific weakness on my team. But I wanted to change it up just a little bit because that last match with the double fighter strategy was just a little bit too close for comfort for me. So I decided to go with Steelix because I noticed in this match that Steelix would have been a whole lot better as a lead. It's actually a really good counter to a lot of things on this list, especially that Earthquake against the Fortress. It could do really good damage against the Cloyster as well. If she decided to bring that in, I don't know if that's something she would, but we'll use this lineup and see how this next match goes. Alright, Steelix comes out, Bronzong comes out. She tries the Bronzong lead again, and again she recognizes that's a terrible lead, so she brings in her Fortress. And you know what? I'm just going to stay in this one. I mean, I called it, that it's going to be a good matchup against both of those Pokemon, and she decides not to shield the Earthquake, cutting over half her health. So, like, and I decided not to shield that because I didn't think she had the Earthquake, but, you know, she got me back fair and square, but I go for the Crunch. She's going to block that, and this is actually probably going to end in my Steelix being defeated here. She's going to send in another Heavy Slam. I just decide to let it go down. I don't want to waste another shield without being able to do that much damage, but I send in the Altaria and finish her off a little bit there. And this is actually an okay matchup for us. I mean, Bronzong is still somewhat favorable here, but it's not really a hard counter. And we get the other shield, and I've got both of my shields now, so I just knew that Altaria was going to be able to get to those charge moves and deal that damage really quickly, even if it was partially resisted, I believe. But I decided to shield that last Heavy Slam because I want to keep my Altaria healthy. I decided to go in for the Dragon Claw, and I'm going to be able to finish this Bronzong off before it gets to anything else, just in the nick of time. I've got just enough left for a Sky attack against the Lucario. She brought in the Lucario again, so it was a good thing that we brought in that Altaria, and all it's going to take is one quick attack from Lucario, so GG's, Claire. You actually kept me on my toes with that team. That was actually a pretty well-played match for the type of team you had, and really good one. Very well played. Okay, so right now we're 2-0 in this tournament, so can we take our very first tournament ever? Well, you'll just have to find out in part 2, so stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.